Hello everyone, welcome to a World of Warships Blitz video. Today's video is asymmetric battles. So I missed asymmetric battles. They're a new feature that came out in a recent update and I missed them the first time out, but I managed to catch them this time. And it's 5 tier 5s, 7 tier 5s against 5 tier 7s, which sounds very symmetrical for asymmetrical battles, but yeah. So let's have a little chat about it. I did kick in to play it. Now, a couple of things that I did notice was, number one, the queue for tier 7 was a lot longer than the queue for tier 5. So I got a bit more experience in the tier 5, to be fair. The other thing I noticed is that most of the ships that were in the queue were battleships, with destroyers coming in a fairly close second. However, if you wanted a quick game, a cruiser or a destroyer in a pinch was a far better bet. And whether or not I went in at tier 7 or tier 5, a cruiser was a pretty good place to go. Now, a couple of other things I noticed is that one team would collapse very quickly or the other team would collapse. So here I am, I'm playing the Fiji, which is a good ship, but against tier 5 battleships, it struggles almost as much as it struggles against tier 6 and tier 7 battleships when it has to face them with no support. So although it looks good at the moment, I would probably say that the Fiji is one of those ships that, yeah, you just need to be a little bit careful with. The Belfast, on the other hand, was murder for the enemy team, because the extra ships meant that the tier 5s relied on visibility and map control and all sorts of good things to get the upper hand on the tier 7s. And the Belfast is just absolutely murder. It destroys. It absolutely slaughters tier 5 destroyers. Because at tier 7, the Belfast is a bit of a target. And what that means is that you have to worry a little bit about, getting exposed and a big battleship having a go at you and all the rest of it. At tier 5, not so much. And to rip the eyes out of the enemy team was just absolutely efficiently done. Yeah. Now, ship choice does seem to play a role. I would probably say that I did take the Emerald out at one point, and did all right with it, to be fair, because I know how to use the Emerald. One of the rare players who does, I suppose. But the Krasny Krim here had long-range guns, good HE, good dispersion, pretty slow reload. Some sonar for the fleet, so if we were detected and we didn't know what was going on, we could pop off the sonar, get some early detection going. But essentially it was just a little fire starter. So yeah, unusual choice, but actually not a bad one to have at least one on your team anyway, because the enemy then can't stand off at range without consequences. And here is the example of tier 5 torpedoes against a tier 7 boat. Not completely destructive, but pretty good. And as I said, once the team started to struggle, yeah, it was the end, really. Whether tier 5 or tier 7, I didn't find many games that weren't sort of, which didn't start to run one direction or the other very quickly. But it is good to see different game modes coming out. I mean, they've got 3 versus 3, and they've got player versus environment with waves of enemy coming out in the next patch, which I really look forward to, because that's essentially the Blitz equivalent of operations, or hopefully. Not quite as structured as the operations in the PC game, but still, it is Blitz and it'll be quick. So, yeah, so my perception is that I'm pretty happy with it. I must admit I've struggled with new game modes. Respawn I didn't really like until I played it. And then I played it at tier 9, and tier 9 is really, really hard in random battles. But with Respawn, tier 9 is just fantastic. I miss it already, and it's only been a week. And I should be waiting for the next tier 9 respawn in order to progress on my Neptune, and otherwise I'll be waiting. Yeah, so, and as for Blitz Royale, the one against another 14, 15 to against each man for himself, or each ship for himself or herself. Absolutely love that too. The best part about it is that even if you exit from the game, you get to watch some quality gameplay as people try and make the ships work for them, and the different ships have different strengths. It's really wonderful to see. So, yeah, so there's a lot going on as far as game modes is concerned. Really do appreciate the effort they're putting in. Asymmetric battles, yeah. I'll have to try some different tiers. 6 versus 8 should be interesting. Or maybe 3 tier 9 versus 6 tier 6, who knows. That might be, well, anyway. But yeah, one of the things to be aware of course, is that at different tiers, it's not necessarily an advantage. For example, the Kamikaze launches torpedoes probably at twice the rate that the Akatsuki does because it's got such a fast reload. So although the Akatsuki's torpedoes are longer range and more powerful, the Kamikaze can still stealth fire, and players who are used to tier 7 aren't used to, may not remember just how fast those torpedoes can go, get launched. So yeah. So anyway, there it is, tier 5 versus 7, asymmetric battle. Interesting. Still need a bit more time to acclimatise to it, so still struggling with what the right approach is, but yeah, altogether really pleased to see these new game modes coming in. And it's good to see something that Krasny Krym's actually good at. Which is, yeah, well, light and fires at a distance against high tier ships. Yeah, never underestimate the Krasny Krym. It's not a completely useless ship. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.